and we are here for Jinro versus ViBe, game number 3, and it is going to be on on Tal'Darim Altar, and it's going to be the Zerg player ViBe spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, and we have Jinro spawning in the top right-hand corner. Excuse me, guys, I almost had a brain fart there.
No, sorry, it's
right
always
back in
whenever you of course you know those Tal'Darim Altar, you know, and you look at that and you're like, and then it just throws off everything for like the next 2 minutes because you're doubting everything. You're like, is that really ViBe? Have we been watching ViBe? I don't know. But anyway, here we go. ViBe versus Jinro once again. Match of two very, very good foreigners. Jinro, of course, the foreigner has put up the best GSL results, 2 semifinal appearances, and had going in a little bit of a slide recently, but certainly his performance in last game shows that he is still a man to be contended with. Yeah, both these players are men to be contended with. I would not want to get into a StarCraft fight with any of these guys. I know what I said, StarCraft, quote unquote. But yeah, these guys are very, very good, and I'm excited to see who's gonna go forward in this qualifier setup because obviously only one player can. They have spawned in a somewhat treacherous position for ViBe, with the Terran player able to make that mech push out and then siege up on the sweet spot, overlooking or underlooking, if you will, the Zerg natural expansion. And if you can look at that real quick, there we are. If we get some tanks and some marines set up right there along with the dropship, it can prove to be very difficult for ViBe to hold on because he won't have the forces necessary, and those tanks, of course, can shell the gas and shell the minerals. And Jinro once again going for pretty early gas as well. ViBe, on the other hand, going after 15 hatch. There we are. So this lends itself to a lot of openings for Jinro. He can once again open with very, very early Hellions into some harassment or something like that. He can also put up a fairly early Reaper if he decides he wants to put down a gas fast expand, something like that, but go after a 1-rank fast expand. But nonetheless, a lot of versatility on both of these builds, pretty standard play, and we have a little bit before either of these players is going to reveal their hands. I wonder if Jinro is going to go with that blue flame strategy again. He's done it, I believe, 2 games in a row now, right? And, barely gets down the supply depot. Almost get the drone inside, but prevented the last second. But yeah, I'm wondering if Jinro is going to go with that blue flame strategy again. It seems to have worked fairly well for him in both games, and I've always watched Jinro play TVZ, and almost every time he uses Blue Flame Hellions, but I'm kind of hoping deep down inside he tries something else out. He tries some other strategy, although ViBe isn't the one that really builds roaches, so it almost seems like the Blue Flame Hellion is the proper unit to get against ViBe. And look, there we go, factory right away, so we are going to see some early Hellions, and it looks like your inclination is going to be absolutely correct. Hellion's going to be the order of the day for Jinro. It could be a starport, and he could be going for Banshee. 1-1-1 build or something like that, Banshee harass. So, but he's getting a reactor, so most likely not. There we go. And that can be effective, but I mean, you've got to hope that you're going to catch your opponent super off guard whenever you do something like that. Open Banshees on this map, because it's so easy to take subsequent bases and recover economically. You've got to hope that you don't outright kill your opponent, but you're at least killing 7, 8, 9 drones at a time, something like that, to make it viable. Yeah, and it's not something that's been popular for Terran players these days because obviously Zerg players have queens, and it's a natural anti-air defense. You're able to defend the Banshee quite easily, unless, of course, Banshee has that cloak upgrade as well. Now, we do have the barracks and the factory swapping off, factory taking on that reactor, an SCV getting its way inside, and it's going to get a timing off on that lair, which has not morphed out yet. So pretty good scout there from Jinro, just sees how many Zerglings are out on the field as well. And now the Hellions are starting to pump out, Jinro realizing, hey, there's not really that much defense on the ground. Looks like my Hellion build could work some wonders. However, this game he does not have the blue flame upgrade coming, and he doesn't have a second factory. He's actually going right into a command center, so he's going to go for that expansion fairly soon. Yeah, and I'm not too surprised to see the expansion there right away either, and he is going to be able to trap these 2 Zerglings, and not really going to take that much damage either, so makes his way down. Let's see if that forces ViBe into a second spine crawler, or if he is going to be content with what he has. He actually hasn't started any creep spread yet. Yeah, that's kind of bad. There we go. Looks like a queen. I don't know if it's just moving into position yet because it doesn't have enough energy for the creep tumor yet. And Jinro sees one spine crawler. Actually think he had an opportunity to do a little bit of a run by there. It's really risky though, because if he runs in with the Hellions on the creep, the possibility that ViBe is producing Zerglings is quite great, and that could prove to be disastrous for those Hellions, especially since they don't have the blue flame upgrade. However, 4 Hellions have joined in the mix now. They do have the opportunity to run right into the main where the creep has not connected the 2 bases yet. Oh, what a beautiful play by ViBe, bringing the Lings down and the queen, preventing those Hellions from running in. So once again, a good reaction from ViBe. Knows that if those Hellions gets inside the main, then he's got a problem. Yeah, there we go. And ViBe is committing to, he's actually doing a pretty good split here. He is counting on the fact that it. Jinro's not going to be overly aggressive with these Hellions, so he's producing 6 drones, 6 lings at a time, and continuing his economy. Yeah.
I love the placement of that info chamber, something that I do against Terran players almost exclusively all the time. Just throw up that chamber at the front. It helps wall off the Hellions and prevents them from running into the natural, and just cuts off one additional avenue for that Terran player to use. Now back over at the Terran's main, it looks like Jinro is now lifting off his command center. He has a starport in production as well. No doubt he's going to get that on the reactor that the factory is currently building, and he's going to start to make those dropships come out. And I'm almost fairly certain we're going to see that Marine biomech coming out for Jinro pretty soon.
Yeah, Pure Marine is going to be, or at least I assume he's going to put down another tech lab here in a second. No, it looks like he's going to continue with Hellions. So it is going to be Hellion Marine is producing a lot of cheap mineral-only units to go ahead and just throw them at waves at his opponent. But I've got to say, the Banelings on creep, especially if ViBe continues creep spread, have the potential to win the game almost exclusively for him. So.
And that's one thing that he's not doing very well right now at all. Does he have a lair up? Yes, he does. He should really. He's going for Spire, but I'm wondering why he hasn't connected the creep between his 2 bases. Honestly, it doesn't even cost a creep tumor at this point. He could just bring an Overlord in and poop right in between the 2 bases, and he can get those 2 bases
I use the same
connected.
expression. No worries.
That's the best word for it. The Overlord goes in there and it poops, literally. But he should connect those 2 bases because it's going to help him deal with Blue Flame Hellions so much easier. And I don't know why he's doing that, but at the same time, he's not spreading creep outwards either, so it's really limiting his options here, and it's limiting his mobility on the terrain. For now, it looks like he's saving up for that Mutalisk bomb that he's going to pump out as soon as the Spire finishes, but he may have to produce some additional units to deal with the Hellions.
And he does, by he I mean Jinro does have a number of Marines coming behind this as well, so he's going to work at this hatchery, and there's really not a lot of forces yet up for ViBe. He does have another 20 links coming up in addition to the centrifugal hooks for that Baneling speed, but as it stands, an Overlord goes down, this hatchery is going to be canceled.
Yeah, the hatchery gets canceled right there, and that's a result of ViBe trying to go for that quick Spire and not producing that many attacking units. So now he's got to produce attacking units in response, and what that does is limit the amount of Mutalisk that he can produce, but he has 7 on the way. Not bad. His creep spread could certainly still use some work, and we do have a dropship coming in from the behind, and ViBe is not quite prepared for this. He could suffer some economic damage from those blue flame, excuse me, just standard Hellions.
Yeah, standard Hellions.
He could still suffer some damage though.
Yep, certainly. It looks like a lot of drones have already been yellow barred. Let's go ahead and take a look at workers killed.
Oh my
He's killed 8 altogether, 10 now. And it looks like he's going to get, no, maybe not anymore after that, but he did a little bit more damage on his way out. So kills 10 workers, and he is going to skate away with this medevac for the time being. Let's see if he gets a scout. Oh, he sees the next base coming up.
Certainly cost effective right there for Jinro. Not only does he get a scout on the 3rd hatchery replanting itself, but he also kills off about 10 or 11 drones. So not too bad at all. The Mutalisks are going to run up here, and they encounter 3 Marines. Should be able to micro against those Marines fairly easily. And they're going to pick off that dropship, which was so valuable.
Because they were delayed by the Marines, it actually allows them to see the medevac. That's so sad. And he gets away without any Mutalisk losses. 1 Mutalisk down to just 1 point of health.
Not bad at all right there for ViBe. I think ViBe pulled ahead, even though he lost several drones because he killed off those Marines, killed off that dropship, has complete map control right now. Note his Overlord placement on the right side of the map so he can see those additional units or dropships when they do try to fly in. Now the Mutalisks are going into the natural. A single turret in the background, but not quite enough to protect the SCVs out the outer perimeter. And it looks like ViBe gets a couple of kills. He's going to be able to fly on out of there.
And here we go. So Jinro has a... I'm a little surprised that Jinro's not going after a 3rd base quite yet. It's about that time he's got enough resources that you think he would want to kind of defensively expand, unless he's just going to gear up for like a huge, ridiculous 2-base push or something like that.
His transfuses, man.
And he uses them really well. I mean, he's got the mechanics and APM to pull it off, so...
I really like how ViBe is so active with his transfuses. He's always transfusing something, and it's smart play in general. I mean, if your Mutalisk, or your Broodlord, your Ultra is about to die, give it a quick spurt of health. Inject it with some, I don't know how they inject HP towards each other, but it works.
There we are.
It's an effective way to keep your units alive.
And, yeah, and he's been using that to really, really good effect, as we've been saying. We saw it in the last game, even though he didn't win the game entirely, he was keeping Broodlords alive for a pretty good period of time. And even structures in some circumstances. The Nidus Worm transfusion that he was doing over and over again.
Cool, man. He was keeping that Nidus Worm alive, knowing that that was his only escape route, and, of course, route of additional reinforcements. So, yeah, ViBe is playing a really good game so far. In fact, I would say he's still got a lead in this game. Almost picks off a dropship right there with his meatless flock, but he decides to fall out of there. And right now, approaching 4 bases is ViBe. Jinro building up his 3rd command center in base, but he is going for this timing push here. And is ViBe prepared? His creep spread still very marginal, not even connecting itself over to the Xel'Naga tower. And ViBe needs to build some Banelings right now. If he doesn't improve his Baneling numbers by at least double, then he's going to have a serious problem on his hands.
Well, he does have 11 coming up, so he's building almost exactly double. Looks like Jinro only has 2 tanks out, though. He's going to start sieging himself up right outside of the creep, and I think he's probably going to be a little bit surprised as to how far he's able to make it down there.
Yeah.
Banelings come in, and they actually don't do that much damage at all. The Marines able, or I'm sorry, the Medevac's able to heal up those Marines immediately. ViBe setting up for a little bit of a Mutilus flank on the right-hand side as he moves in with forces through the front, but I think he's got to play pretty defensively. This is make or break for ViBe right now.
This is make or break for both players right now. Jinro could come out of this suffering a huge casualty, losing his entire army, because it looks like ViBe is spreading out all his forces, and here we go! The Mutas, the Banelings, and the Lings are all running in. The Mutas are spread out to avoid any Thor damage, but there are no Thors on the ground, and it looks like the Banelings taking out several packs of Marines, but we have a clockwise motion of the Marines just making that clockwork kind of maneuver, and
very smart,
preventing themselves from getting smacked by the Banelings. So ViBe keeps most of his Jinro keeps most of his forces alive, and ViBe is unable to break the Terran position. However, it looks like ViBe kept a lot of his Banelings alive, and he may have another chance to go in there and destroy that Terran position.
Yeah, both players actually kept a significant number of units alive. It looks like most of the rest of the Banelings are ready. They're going to swing themselves around the back side. Got to watch out and make sure that any stray tanks don't get picked off by this flock of Mutas. At the same time, though, ViBe is producing a ton of units. A few Mutas do get hit there, and it looks like we're gearing up for round 2.
Yeah, right now ViBe is trying to go up to the north and pick off the reinforcements, which is pretty smart. He will be able to keep those tank numbers and the Marine numbers down, and even force a couple of stims as well. But what a cute little bit of micro we just saw with that kind of, I have no word to describe it, the clockwork motion of ViBe and Jinro playing. Yeah, they were playing merry-go-round around the tower, ring around the rosy, musical chairs, whatever you have it. And I think that Jinro came out ahead, but he's got to be careful. His Marines are still very far spread out, and that makes it easy for the Mutas to pick off. But here comes the next big engagement. The tanks are shelling those Banelings away, and it looks like Jinro comes out with most of his Marines intact, and ViBe is suffering huge losses to his Mutilus flock, but he may have enough to break through the Marines, and Jinro is going to barely lose his position.
I can't believe ViBe stood in there for that long and kept going after the Marines, but he realized, he calculated, snap decision in his head that even though he was going to take losses, he was going to be able to inflict enough damage that he takes out all the Marines, and then is able to subsequently take out the remainder of the siege tanks that are sitting there. Look at these Lings doing considerable work against those Marines, now forced to retreat, but Jinro, why has he not expanded yet? Still sitting there with that command center. He needs to get that extra production going down because he's almost mined out of his main, and he's gone through quite a few of the resources in his natural as well.
Yeah, that's actually a big blunder right now by Jinro. I'm not sure why he hasn't expanded to that 3rd location yet. He's trying to push out once again and set up this contain. Something that Terran players have been doing quite often is just keep on pushing, try to break the Zergs back. If you apply that pressure, you eventually will, but does he have enough forces to do it? The Banelings are getting in there once again. The Marines are scurrying out of there, though, and it looks like they avoided most of the Banelings. A couple of Burrow Banelings detonating as well, but most of the Marines stay alive and intact, and it looks like Jinro is going to continue this march of death. These Marines have been told to suicide themselves in, and he still hasn't expanded, so Jinro is pretty much going all in at this point. There is no backup plan. This is it.
I am shocked he's not put down that next command center yet. I mean, he has got, at the very least, he's forced ViBe long enough to sit back long enough that he can probably play pretty defensively and establish that 3rd. Here comes Jinro, though. He's on creep. He's got to watch out for any units. And look at the Mutas just coming in. They don't care how many Marines are out there. They are going to attack with the Zergling reinforcements as well. Wow, ViBe calculating once again in his head that he can take out this entire force. Transfusions going down once again. The medevacs are pushed back. Not that many Marines remaining.
That was a serious mistake, I feel like, by Jinro, forcing his Marines to go in as close as they did and getting right up on the creep, allowing themselves to be flanked from multiple positions. Basically meant that Jinro lost his advantage. Thankfully, his macro is still in high gear and he's able to reproduce units. Look at the stream of Marines that is continuing to reinforce this position here, and Jinro is continuing this assault on the Zerg base. He's got a position in between the natural and the 3rd, and it looks like ViBe may be falling apart just a little bit here. I don't know. This is such a close game. Jinro not accepting that expansion. It's
Expand, Jinro, expand. Oh god, he just lost a ton of units to a couple of the Banelings. That's actually going to allow the Mutalisk to come in and clean up all the reinforcements. Jinro is going to have to pull back and regroup, otherwise his reinforcements will continue to get torn up. He's going to lose these medevacs as well. The siege tank has gone down. This is an increasingly bad position for Jinro. And he GG's, and ViBe
oh my god.
has taken the set.